Breaking news. Iran is sending drones to Venezuela for Venezuela to use in potential strikes against American warships. If the U.S. decides to bomb Venezuela, this could turn into a major international crisis. Venezuelan officials said, "We are almost certainly in need of these Iranian drones with a range of 1,000 kilometers. But it's not just Iran. China is also preparing to send military equipment to Venezuela, meaning the U.S. could be facing a serious fight if tensions escalate." Just a week ago, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro sent a letter directly to China. Ironically, that letter was intercepted by the U.S., revealing what was inside. In the message, Venezuela asked for expanded military cooperation between Venezuela and China. Russia has already supplied Venezuela with air defense systems, missiles, and other weapons. It's very likely that Russia's allies, China and Iran, will also continue sending military support to Venezuela. Whether this situation becomes a serious challenge for the United States or just another manageable conflict remains to be seen. The USA is becoming isolated in the US-Venezuela tensions. The UK has officially stopped sharing its intelligence with the US, and here's why this comes in response to the US carrying out dozens of airstrikes on Venezuelan boats in the Caribbean. The important part is that the UK believes these attacks are illegal, and they do not want to facilitate the killing of civilians in the Caribbean. Colombia also says they will never use their intelligence for the USA. Meanwhile, Iran is sending drones to Venezuela for Venezuela to use to bomb American warships if the US decides to bomb Venezuela. And this is a huge deal. China is also going to be sending military equipment to Venezuela as well, meaning the US could be in for a big fight with Venezuela. Russia has already sent large amounts of air defense systems, missiles, and weapons to Venezuela. It's very likely that Russia's allies, like China and Iran, would also be willing to send more support to Venezuela too. As usual, leave me a follow for more global news.
The first Gen Z major march in Mexico. Thousands of people have taken to the streets protesting government corruption and also demanding justice for the killing of Carlos Manzo, a mayor of Uruapan. This is a small municipality in western Mexico. He was killed in broad daylight during a Day of the Dead celebration on November 1st. And protesters started in the main monument in Mexico City, and then they walked along this main avenue toward the National Palace. What we've seen here is all the anger of young people frustrated about the conditions of the country.
Si no nos levantamos y en verdad alzamos la voz y nos quejamos por las cosas que en realidad se están haciendo mal, nunca va a cambiar esto.
Queremos libertad, seguridad, paz, un futuro para el país.
The government has dismissed this protest, saying or arguing that behind it are
It's getting out of control in Mexico. Happening in Mexico right now is way bigger than a simple protest. The whole country is fed up. As you can see, they fed up with the violence, with the corruption, with nothing getting changed over the years. They tired of it. So what did they do? They marched right towards the National Palace. And that's when you see things got out of control. They ripping fences. You see tear gas. You see shit just getting crazy, fool. Y'all, and guess who was leading the chaos? They said it was Gen Z. But you had the older folks coming in too. They like, nah, we finna step up too. You even got people mad at the president right now because they said she do not fit the background of Mexico because they said she's Jewish. So you had people saying some crazy shit to her. Even marking the walls with graffiti, fool. So y'all let me know. Are they finna overthrow the government? What do y'all think is finna happen now since this chaos just...
Shalom, shalom. Before I begin, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to our teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone. Much respect to the brothers living worldwide in truth and sincerity. Salutations and blessings to the elect, believing on the words of Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi. Coming next you with another lesson, Lord willing, is edifying. There's a lot going on, man. There's a lot going on in the planet Earth right about now. You know, you got guys departing from the faith. You got the MOTB system being made relevant and ready to be used more and more every day. And you also have wars and rumors of wars. uproars of the people in the world, you know, those things are being made manifest more and more. All right. And what our Lord Yahawashi said, when we see these things begin to happen, look up, for our redemption draw near. So yeah, we're seeing these things play out on a mass scale, man. So much so you can't even ignore it anymore. You know, we're gonna start here, 2nd Ezra chapter 9. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And we know the Lord is visiting the world by a storm and tempest, a flame of devouring fire, but also earthquakes. See, these are the indicators that our Lord said to look for, you know, before his return. We can read about that in St. Matthew 24. Lord willing, we're going to get that. All right. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, right? You just had a huge uproar, you know, in Mexico, man. You know, they protesting corruption. They even had certain of them talking about the president, all right, who is a 1948er, man. You know, they was actually bringing up that lineage, you know. So all eyes are on Esau now, man. You can't hide yourself, you know. And Lord willing, in post-processing, I'm gonna have a collection of videos, you know, in front of this lesson. You know, just going into prophecy, man. You know, it's undeniable the prophecy that Yahawah is pushing forth in the planet Earth. And if you can't see these things, the Lord has blinded you. You know, He's taken away your defense, man. Because see, knowing is half the battle. Knowing brings comfort. Knowing lets you know what's going on, you know, and these people can't see what's going on, so they don't have the discernment to hide themselves. They don't have the discernment to get out the rain, as it were, you know. Verse 4, 2nd Ezra 9 and 4, it says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So this is prophecy, man. All right, and it's playing out on a high level, you know, so much so it can't be ignored, man. You know, you have these Christians who can read Matthew 24 and equate the uproars of the people and the earthquakes and the sedition. You know, they can equate that with the Lord returning, but they don't understand the significance behind it, man. You know, they can't really put 2 and 2 together. See? Salakia. Let me see if this thing's still recording. Salakia. Yeah, man. Well, they can't put 2 and 2 together. You know? It says, verse 5, for like all that is made in the world, hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, right? We often go into that word manifest. It means to be made clear to the mind or eye. So now these things have been made clear unto us, man. We can see it with our eyes and we understand it with our mind. You know, we understand that the Lord is on the way. Matter of fact, let's go to St. Matthew. Quick lesson through the Spirit, you know. St. Matthew chapter 24. I'm going to start at verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? Make sure we still recording. Salakia. Damn. Okay. Salakia. You damn telemarketers, man. Again, St. Matthew 24 and 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So the disciples was inquiring, when will this current age be over with? You go into that word age, it means a period of time. Excuse me, that word world means age. Matter of fact, let's just get it. You know, we're here for edification to bring it out. You know, that word world, Strong's G 165, aeon or eon, it means forever, an unbroken age. Yeah, we're in the age of Esau. Perpetuity of time, period of time, age. See? So yeah, the disciples was inquiring, when would this age end? Because see, we're in the second leg of that Roman Empire that was taxed, there was heavy taxation on the Israelites at that time, man. You know? It says, verse 4, excuse me, Yahawashi answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Right. In that video, a little bit, I said I'm gonna put it in the opening, in the post processing. You seen the rumors of war between the U.S. and Venezuela right now, man, and things are heating up over there. You know, that's part of a rumor of war, which can surely escalate into all-out war, man. You know, you got China sending drones, or China getting ready to send military weapons, Russia sending military weapons, and you also have Iran sending drones, man. You know, it says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. City should be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right. You have to have the MOTB implemented in the planet Earth, you know, and then things are gonna move fast, you know, as our Elder Pastor Ha. You can plainly see it as our Elder Pastor Ha say, man, you know, because this devil ain't gonna have time to revel in, you know, him thinking he done made it, you know, he done actually won the game. Nah, man, it's actually Lord gonna actually throw a flag on the play. You gotta repeat the down, and then the missiles coming. You see? It says, for nation shall rise against nation, see that? And kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All those things we're seeing, man. We're seeing the famine, you know? We're seeing the pestilence. Certainly we're seeing the earthquakes, you know? It says, all these are the beginning of sorrow. So it's just the beginning, man. Things are going to get a whole lot tighter. The squeeze is going to put on the people. So much so they're going to be forced to take that micro C hip, man. You know? Let's go back to 2nd Ezra. Chapter 16. Right? And verse 18, it says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of war. See that? Yeah, this is just the beginning, man. The beginning of wars, right? And the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come, right? These evils are coming, man. You know, they're actually already here. They're just growing, you know, until their perfection, which is going to be World War III, man. You know, when those missiles are shot out here to America, Babylon the Great, you hear that eerie sound, you know, that eerie sound of a blaring alarm, you know, and you have stuff come across your tablet or your phone or even your laptop telling you this is not a test, man. You know, it says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. See that? So all the hell that these people are catching now, they're not even being mindful of these things, man, or considering what the Lord is doing. You know, they're not. See, they don't have discernment. Again, knowing brings comfort, and knowing is half the battle. If you know what's going on, you're more inclined to do something about it, man. You know, to try and have a hedge about yourself. But see, 2/3 are not trying to have a hedge about themselves, man. You know, so when these prophecies start playing out on a high level on them, they're going to be caught in an evil time, man. You know, as we read in Ecclesiastes 9, you know, those fishes that are caught in the evil net, you know, those birds that are caught in the snare. Yeah, it's going to take them off guard. They're not in the spirit of anticipation. You know, we're in the spirit of anticipation. They're going to be in a reactionary spirit. You know, and when you're in a reactionary spirit, you reacting to what somebody else is doing, so you always behind instead of anticipating what somebody's going to do, and you're one step ahead, man. And that's what the Lord has given the elect. He's given them the ability to anticipate so they can be one step ahead. So when we see these wars and rumors of wars, when we see these uproars of the people, it's an indicator that our Lord Yahawashi is about to return, man. You know, matter of fact, let's go to St. Luke, chapter 21, and verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Again, these all things that we're seeing occur now, man. We see the signs in the sun and in the moon and the stars, from these different blood moons to these super moons, you know, these super rare moons, you know, to these certain eclipses, you know, to these astronomical, you know, planets lining up, these rare events that we have seen occur in the past, 3 or 4 years. These are all indicators, man. You know, it says, and upon earth, distress of nations. Yeah. Hey, Mexico, as we seen in that video, you know, is in a distressful state right now, man. You know, and that has been going on around the world. You just had the No Kings protest here, not worldwide, but nationwide. You know, these various states, even here in Alabama, man. You know, so the feeling of the people now is in an uproar, man. They in a I don't give a fuck about the government mindset. You know, and guess what? That's just a small sample size of what's coming. Cause see, these things are going to continue to grow. You know, it says with perplexity, and you seeing perplexity on the people. You know, that certain confusion. You know, we seeing that on the people right now. So much so that they're crying out on TikTok, man. You know, you had the one lady ask, "What am I do? What am I supposed to do?" You know, and guess what? That spirit is growing. Oh man, it says that Second Ezra 6. Where it said, "Visual shall be so good, cheap on earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case." Even then, let's grab that real quick. I believe that's Second Ezra 6, right? Yeah, Second Ezra, chapter 6, and is it 6? It may have been 9. Let me see. Let's see. Oh man. Let me see if I can find this. Salak, Second Ezra 16. That's the spirit. We was just there. Yep, that's beautiful. Yeah, 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. See that? Yeah, you think yourself to be in a good case because you can still go to your local market and buy some goods, man. You know, you may find a deal here or a deal there. Like, sheesh, things are not as bad as they seem, you know? It says, and even then shall evils grow upon earth. See? Yeah, it's going to grow, man. It's not going to stay the same. Things are going to get worse. It says, sword, famine, and great confusion. See that? Yeah, great confusion, man. That perplexity. So perplexity is growing, you know? And when these things happen more often, guess what? The people are going to be in a confused mind state, man. They're not going to know how to operate. They're not going to know how to go by their day. Back in St. Luke, chapter 21 and verse 25, and there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. You see that? Yeah, the sea and the waves being a metaphor for the people, man. In an uproar, as we've seen in Mexico, you know. And again, these things are not going to die down. They're going to continue to grow in the earth. It says, men's heart failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken, right? When those ICBM missiles are shot out, you know. But even preceding those things, the stock market crashing, you know, the dollar going by the wayside. Yeah, those things are going to be fearful in the sight of the people. You know, so much so, some of them gonna have heart attacks, man. You know, if you go back to the account when the stock market crashed and the Great Depression happened, people were jumping out of those skyscrapers, man. Edomites, they just couldn't take it, man. So how much more now? You know, it says, and when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. And that's where we at, man. Our redemption is closer than when we were first believed. See? So I pray this has been edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Qadash. Double honors to our teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone. Till the next time, Shalom.